Howdy there, folks. Welcome into today's video. We have so many stocks to talk about in today's video, so many things going on in the market that are quite intriguing. Let's just put it that way. Some opportunities to talk about in this market. Yeah, it's a busy, action-packed video. Appreciate y'all being here as always. Thank you for being subscribed. I want to jump straight into this one, okay? So where I actually want to start today's video at is talking about Apple stock. So Apple stock making a little bit of an upward move here today on, let's just call it not the best day for the stock market here today. So I saw this, and this was first probably thing that caught my attention in today. I'm like, Apple making a move like that? What's going on here? Okay. Well, Apple rises as Wall Street says iPhone 15 Pro is strong out of the gates. Apple shares rose in pre-market trading on Monday as Wall Street firms said they are tracking the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, and it's strong out of the gate, they're saying. Okay. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives, who has an outperform rating and $240 price target on the tech giant, said that pre-orders are up between 10 and 12% year over year as of Sunday night, and they are much stronger than Wall Street expected. That is his opinion. We do not know that for sure or that is factual, but that is his opinion, okay? Quote, there is a clear positive for Apple with average selling prices, ASPs, set to be a major tailwind for the Cupertino company for this iPhone 15 cycle. And our expectations of ASP in the $925 range and up roughly $100 over the past 12 to 15 months. Wow, given the heavy Pro mix model shifts. He kept his forecast for 85 million iPhone units, but said it could possibly move to 90 million units, depending upon carrier kind of promotions. Let's just call it that, right? Think about AT&T, Verizon, all those other guys, T-Mobile. Ives added that the demand for the iPhone 15 Pro Max is, quote, exceptionally strong in the U.S., China, India, and parts of Europe. In particular, India pre-orders may be up 25% year over year, while China is also seeing strong out of the gates. Quote, we believe market share gains will remain steady in China from Apple for this iPhone 15 cycle, growing despite the street skepticism, okay? Now, before we get any further into this, it's interesting because I just wanted to kind of poll like friends and family members over the past few days about, did they hear about the new iPhone coming out and are they going to get it and things like that? And for sure, this is the first one I've heard. I haven't heard like one person say they want to get it yet, okay? So that's rare because usually there's always at least a few people that are like, oh yeah, I already ordered it, or I'm about to order it, or I'm thinking about ordering it. I like this or like that. And I didn't hear one person, and these are all people that have plenty of funds, let's just call it that, to buy the new iPhone if they want to buy the new iPhone. So I don't know. I think it's interesting because what I'm hearing on the ground is not good. Dan Ives, who has a $240 price target on Apple stock, basically saying orders are great. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't live in India, so I can't tell you how demand is in India, obviously, and I don't live in China, so I can't tell you how demand is in China, right? But I can tell you just from what I'm hearing in the United States, it doesn't sound good. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you guys are ordering the new iPhone or not. I'd love to hear from you guys and your perspectives. Intriguing. I'll put it like that. TF International Securities analyst Min Ko was a bit more tempered in his analysis, though he pointed out that demand for iPhone 15 Pro Max is, quote, robust and is pacing ahead of iPhone 14 Pro Max. He also noted that demand for the iPhone 15 Pro is weaker than last year, possibly due to the more premium users switching to the Pro Max. Okay. Quote, wait times for the iPhone 15 Pro Max are significantly longer than for other models, but this is more than just due to high demand, Ko wrote. Current iPhone 15 Pro Max shipments are lower due to a later mass production schedule, and its current production challenges are more pronounced than other models. That's intriguing, right? Because if it says, oh, these models, you can't get this for another month or 2 months or whatever, right? Part of that could be, oh, demand's really high. Another part of that could be supply's really tight at a given moment, right? There's a supply and demand game. Though the Chinese government denied reports of an outright iPhone ban, it did, however, flag some security issues. Ku said the reports are not wrong, but could easily be misinterpreted. Sure. Currently, members of the Chinese Communist Party, government employees, and employees of state-owned enterprises aren't the iPhone's primary target customers. True. Moreover, the iPhone ban is an isolated decision by specific government organizations and state-owned enterprises, so the impact of banning iPhones from these reports of iPhone sales in China are not significant, he says. He maintained his estimate for about 80 million iPhone 15 units to be shipped this year. Delivery and shipment times have moved to early November from late October for a number of iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max models. The new devices announced earlier this month, which was just this past week, are also slated to go on sale September 22nd. So you know what I thought about this, right? I saw this and I was like, okay, that's intriguing. But you know what I was wondering? I was really curious about this. I said, why isn't this certain thing happening? If this is true, if this is really accurate, if iPhone demand is going to be super exciting, then why did the stock do this today, okay? Why did the stock sell off into the end of trading day? And why was it only up, let's say, 1.7% or so? If this is really such a, a boom iPhone production cycle. So I am really intrigued on that, right? If you think things are going to be way better than expected, why wasn't the stock, and all the analysts coming out and being positive on this, why wasn't the stock up more today, right? Why wasn't this like a 3 or 4 or 5% move? Because that's what you would usually expect. 1.7%? I don't know, man. A little fishy there, okay? PayPal made a downward move today of about 2% roughly. It's down to about a 7.7% gain this month. What happened with PayPal? Well, PayPal cut to market perform at MoffettNathanson on lackluster gross profit view. Ooh. PayPal stock dipped on Monday. MoffettNathanson downgraded the fintech to market perform from outperform. So basically, they're expecting PayPal stock to just roughly do whatever the market does. So let's say the market goes up 10% over the next 12 months. That's what they expect PayPal stock to do. If it is flat the next 12 months, that's what they expect the stock to do. If it's down 10%, they expect the stock to go down 10%. As incoming CEO Alex Chriss faced a number of headwinds, including formidable competition from Apple Pay, Block's Cash App, which we're going to talk about. Block, huge move Block just made here today. We'll speak about them a little later on. And limited opportunities for further cost cuts. The payment tech company's stock has suffered in the past 18 months as PayPal's gross profit dollar growth abruptly slowed to about flat in 2022 and 1% year-to-date in 2023, down from 17% in 2021 and 22% in 2020, said the analyst. The underlying drivers for the slowdown include, quote, fierce competitive pressure in its branded checkout sector from Apple Pay and an aggressive pricing strategy at its Braintree unit to win market share among large enterprise e-commerce customers. Also, Venmo's volume growth has flattened, likely due to competition from Block's Cash App. The Braintree strategy aims to cross-sell customers for higher margin products, but the dynamic has yet to pay off. Quote, we are not seeing evidence that the cross-selling is working, and in the meantime, Braintree risks triggering a price war in a highly consolidated, competitive, and commoditizing U.S. market. The analyst says she expects PayPal's gross profit growth to remain low to mid-single digits. So that's interesting. That's still expecting, low to mid-single digits growth, right? And we see the potential for further downside to our estimates, particularly given the strong momentum of Apple Pay, which we worry will begin to benefit from the powerful network effects in payments, okay? So that's intriguing, and certainly, there's a lot of competitive pressure in the space. I don't think that's a news to any of us, right? We know Apple Pay, we know Cash App, we know all these guys. It's a very competitive space. There's no doubt, right? So here's what's interesting about PayPal if we dig into the financials a little bit, okay? So the company in 2016 did about a little under $11 billion in revenue. This past year, they did almost $27.5 billion in revenues. Gross profit went from a little over $5 billion to, in 2021, they were up to about $12 billion roughly, just under $12 billion in gross profit, right? Now, they dipped to 11.6 in 2022, right? I do not think that's going to continue on because we see something very interesting in the most recent quarterly numbers, okay? So in the most recent quarterly numbers, they are back to growing gross profit. If we look, in June 2022, they had about $2.7 billion gross profit. Now they're doing $2.8 billion in gross profit. That's not huge growth, but it is growth, and it is a step in the right direction, okay? Operating income went from $854 million in June 2022 quarter to this past quarter, they're at $1.1 billion, which is extremely strong for a June quarter for PayPal. That bodes very well for the September and the December quarter for PayPal overall. Now, if that wasn't enough, if we want to look all the way down to the bottom line, right? Net income has let's just call it, gotten to a much better place. At this time last year, at least as far as the 2022 June quarter, they did about $341 million net loss. This most recent quarter, June 2023, they did over $1 billion of positive net income. So things are definitely moving in the right direction for PayPal. So I understand that the company has a lot of clouds around it short term. That's why the stock has faltered so much, and that's why it's a $60 stock instead of a $100, $200, or $300 stock here today. But I don't believe all the negative kind of numbers we've seen are going to continue on long term. And I believe, the company's at a very attractive valuation. So that's kind of my stance on it. The space is competitive. Like, you can't own PayPal unless you are comfortable owning a stock that's in a very competitive space. There's no doubt about that, right? That's just the bottom line. But I mean, the same could be said for almost every public company out there. All these spaces are highly competitive, and you've got to fight these guys off. And PayPal's been doing it for 20 years now, and they're still doing it to this day. Tesla, my Tesla, down over 3% here today in regards to Tesla. Very interesting day with Tesla on a few different fronts. Okay, first up, Tesla and Saudi Arabia are in early talks for EV factories, supposedly. Saudi Arabia is in talks with Tesla about setting up manufacturing facility there, people familiar with the discussion said, as part of the ambitious push into the kingdom to secure metals needed for electric vehicles to help diversify its economy away from oil. The talks are at very early stage and could fall apart. Any deal could be fraught with complications given Tesla CEO Elon Musk's contentious relationship with the Saudis, as well as the kingdom's existing partnership with the company's electric vehicle rival, Lucid Group. Come on, man. You're going to call Lucid a rival? A rival to Tesla? Are you kidding me? What are we talking about here, okay? That's like saying, I don't know, Mississippi State is a rival to Alabama. Like, stop it, man. Just stop it. That's just utterly ridiculous, okay? Utterly ridiculous. Tesla didn't respond to a request. That's like saying BlackBerry is a rival to Apple. Like, just knock it off, okay? Tesla didn't respond to requests for comment before publication of this article. After publication, Musk tweeted that the article was utterly false, he said, in regards to Wall Street Journal's kind of opinions and perspectives. So I think that definitely weighed on the stock. Now, I have some good news in regards to Tesla on a few different fronts that are very interesting here, okay? First one is, and Brendan posted this, okay? A non-manufacturer license plate Cybertruck was seen in Palo Alto. That is the first, I believe, anybody's seen in the world of a non-manufacturer license plate Cybertruck out there. So definitely exciting. From my understanding, what I'm hearing is October is this time we're going to start seeing, let's call it, a lot more Cybertrucks on the road in some different cities, okay? And then you'll continue to see more into November, December, and then obviously major production is coming in 2024 from my understanding. So just keep that in mind. Don't be surprised if at some point this winter you see your first Cybertruck in person if you haven't seen one yet. Now, speaking about Tesla, oh my gosh, I was going to the gym in my community yesterday, and I'm like, the whole community is a freaking Tesla dealership. I'm like, look at this, Tesla. It's insane, man. Absolutely insane. Like, man, Tesla putting up numbers, and man, are they going to put up some numbers over this next few years. Very, very exciting. And I always tell people this. I've said it since the beginning. If people with money to buy any sort of vehicle are choosing to buy Teslas, it's a very positive signal. It's one of the most positive signals you can get. Because then it basically means just as long as Tesla's able to bring down price over time, right, they're going to be able to attract the masses. And what we're seeing now is Model 3 and Model Y become, started to get to the most attractively priced vehicles you can possibly imagine for a middle-class consumer now at this point in time. So this is what we have going on, folks. Very, very exciting, right? Now, this is also going on, right? A Michigan-based auto manufacturing supplier is planning to lay off 293 employees due to the United Auto Workers strike against the Detroit 3 automakers. This is the first supplier to detail its layoff plans in the state since the union began the walkout on Friday, right? So obviously not an ideal situation. I don't know. It's not a good situation. Tesla doesn't even need this. That's the thing. Like, is it going to benefit Tesla? Absolutely. Is it going to benefit Mexico, all this? Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, Tesla's going to put up their numbers regardless. This is probably just like a cherry on top situation in regards to all this. I don't think it's good. I think it's bad for the auto manufacturers, and we'll see how it all trades out. But I can tell you, it's not a good situation. The automakers are going to have to end up paying up before it's all said and done, and they're going to have to pay workers a lot more for the next few years until they move that production down to Mexico, which will end up happening, unfortunately. Okay, or fortunately, depending upon which viewpoint you have. Okay, Square stock is down after hours. So what's going on with Square? And that's after it was down 3% here today. Now you got to also say, why was Square? Put these pieces together. Why was Square down 3% today? And PayPal was only down 1.7% or whatever that was. PayPal was down less than 2%. PayPal got downgraded here today. Got, talked trash about and all those sorts of things. It's only a market perform. And yet Square was down significantly more than PayPal. And then it's down more after hours. You got to think, did somebody know the news before the news broke? That's kind of what I think, okay? So what is the news? Well, this 8K came out after the bell here today. SEC filing out of Block. And what happened here, very intriguing, is Alyssa Henry, the Square Chief Executive Officer, CEO of Block, will depart the company effective October 2nd. Ms. Henry has worked for Block for over 9 years and provided significant contributions to the company during that time. Jack Dorsey, the company's Block's head and chairperson, will also serve as Square's head. That's very confusing, okay? Their word choice was horrible. That word choice was not good. Let's just put it that way. So I'm assuming Jack Dorsey's going to step up and kind of be CEO right now. That's my guess, okay? They just didn't word it very well at all. Now, why is this happening, okay? My personal opinion is you never really know the truth in these situations, right? You never know what's going on behind closed doors. My personal opinion is Square stock has been doing very bad, as PayPal stock has been doing very bad. Square might be doing even worse, right? Somebody's head's got to roll in that situation, and it gets put on the CEO. It's no different than if you're a head coach of, an NBA team or an NFL team or some sport team, right? If your team's not winning, at the end of the day, head's got to roll. Regardless of what the stats were or how close the games were, if the wins and losses aren't there, you're going to get fired or let go, let's just call it that, okay, or depart, whatever they want to frame it as in today's 2023 climate, okay? They try not to be harsh nowadays and say things like this person's been fired and those sorts of things, okay? So that is my personal opinion and assessment of what might have happened here. And the same thing happened with PayPal. Like PayPal stock's been doing so bad, it doesn't really matter what the revenues have been, net income. If the stock isn't performing, somebody's head's got to roll, and it's almost always going to be the CEO's head. That's what happens in these situations. So that's what I think is likely happening here. We'll see who they bring in, but it's obviously not an ideal situation at all, right? I'd be much more concerned about PayPal if Square had been doing tremendous all this time and Square stock was performing tremendous. I would be much more concerned, but the fact is both of them have been doing very, very bad. Striking unions impacting the economy at a level not seen in decades. We have these strikes going on over the place. We avoided the UPS one, but now we got this United Auto Workers strike. The Hollywood strikes have been going on for, how long has the Hollywood strikes been going on for now? I think it's like 3 months or something insane, right? Check this out. So far, the United Auto Workers stoppage has impacted just a small portion of the workforce with limited implications for the broader economy. However, if things heat up and it turns into an all-out strike, bringing into play the 146,000 of those working at Ford, GM, and Stellantis, that could change things. August alone saw some 4.1 million labor hours lost this year, the most in a single month since August 2000. Wow. Potential pay raises have raised the specter that inflation, which has been, let's call it starting to come down, right, from 40-year highs, could be stickier as unions fight for higher ground, right? So this is it's not, at some point in time, it seems like it's going to catch up with the economy. It really does, okay? I was even speaking to a friend yesterday, and I was like, when do all these strikes that are going on in Hollywood start to affect the LA area in a very negative way? Because I'm like, most people aren't like some super famous actor that's making $1 million a movie. Like, many of these folks are like middle-class folks that work on the props and all the behind-the-scenes stuff, right? And if those folks are out of work, who's paying the bills? Like that's my question. Like, how are those folks even making ends meet? Like, what are they doing? Driving Uber or working at the local restaurant, or what's going on there? Because that just like doesn't make sense. Doesn't make financial sense. And at some point in time, that's got to hit the LA economy and the Southern California economy. It's got to hit eventually, right? And obviously, if you see these folks just are striking and things like that, right? You're going to be out of work, and then next thing you know, the bills come due. I don't know, man. We'll see how it all plays out, but it's not an ideal situation. I can understand people want more money, but I also think companies are going to strike back, and I think they're going to move some of this work, let's just call it to Mexico. That's my personal opinion in regards to that, okay? Now, Salesforce stock has been absolutely tremendous this year. It's up almost 60%. Salesforce is usually one of the best stocks in the entire stock market, one of the best stocks most folks could ever invest in, right? And it's been having a tremendous year. But there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes at Salesforce that are very intriguing, okay? Check this out. So, Salesforce turns to boomerangs, luring back former executives to help reignite growth. Salesforce has recruited back at least 8 executives this year. Very intriguing, okay? Mark Benioff, he hasn't built that company by accident. He's built an absolute behemoth in one of the most successful companies in the world, one of the best stocks of the past, 10, 20, 30 years in the market, right? And I gotta say, that dude, he's one of those rare CEOs you don't want to bet against him. And he's pulling back some of these, top tier executives and whatnot. Yeah, man, Salesforce is a beast of a company, and just very, very impressive what's going on there. And him bringing back some of those very, very talented individuals, okay? Now, in regards to the market in general, what's going on here today? So I want to start out with big tech here. In regards to big tech, Shopify was the big L of the day, down about 4.6% Shopify stock here today. Tesla was down, as we spoke about, over 3% here today. Uber Booba stock down a bit. That could be a little bit of money coming out of Uber to get ready to go into Instacart, because Instacart IPO is likely coming. So that's kind of my belief in regards to Uber. Now, by the way, Instacart, if you told me I had to buy Uber, Instacart, I'm buying Uber, because Uber is a diversified business model. It's not like dealing with Instacart where we're talking about this is just kind of one player in one market. Uber can be Instacart. Uber can be DoorDash. Uber can be Lyft. They can be all these things in just a giant. So that's kind of my opinions and perspectives. I mean, to be quite frank, I don't trust any of these most recent IPOs. The ARM one, this Instacart run, okay. Oracle down. Oracle's getting very interesting now at this point in time, down about 1.5%. I believe there's an interview coming up with the Oracle CEO on CNBC in the next 24 hours or so. So I'm going to definitely try to check out that one. Uber, Snowflake down a little bit here today. Mr. Softy around break even, Amazon around break even. Not too much happening in kind of big tech land. And then as far as the big green one for the day, it was Apple on obviously the reports of potentially iPhone 15 being a banger. We'll see. Okay, that's very intriguing. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. Okay, now commodities. Wow, oats, big move down here today, over 5%. Wheat down big, soybeans down, lumber down. The troubling things right here, okay? This isn't what we want to see. WTI was up again here today. Natural gas up. I mean, natural gas is still very low, so keep that in mind. If natural gas goes 4+, then we have little things to worry about if it goes 5+ indefinitely, okay? But this is the troubling one, man. This is what's killing us right now. This is what's boosting up the CPI numbers in a massive way. At the end of the day, most people drive internal combustion engines. They need to gas up their vehicles, and this WTI it's a headache right now we're having to deal with. And it just, it's there. We'll see what happens as summer abates and we get into fall time if WTI starts to weaken. The good news is I think everybody's just seems so dang bullish on WTI. And the last time I saw them this bullish around energy was kind of around when WTI peaked actually in early summer of 2022. That's the last time I saw just Wall Streeters in general this bullish. Almost seems like every person that goes on is bullish on energy right now. Even I was listening to a lady earlier today. She runs more of a growth stock investor fund, right? And even she was talking about she's bullish on energy and she's investing in energy stocks. Holy smokes, that's no joke, okay? When you got the growth investors buying energy stocks, I don't know. We'll see what transpires there. It just feels a little frothy right now and a little bit of too much bullishness in regards to energy prices in the short term here. So we'll see how all that trades out, okay? When it comes to banking stocks, Not too many big moves. I mean, KRE was down pretty decent here today, down almost 3%. That's a regional banking index, so I think that's a good one to kind of keep an eye on, obviously, with what happened earlier this year. And, I mean, there's a lot of folks that still feel like there could be problems in the regional banks. It's just they're lurking right now. They haven't come out and come to fruition right now, right? SOFI, big move down here today, about 4.4%, but SOFI is just one of those stocks that's so dang volatile. I mean, one day it's up 10%, next day it's down 5%, and it's all over the place in regards to good old SOFI. Housing stocks, I was looking at these here today. RH continues to show weakness, which I think is proper and good, and I'm happy it's showing weakness. RH, a great company, but they made a very questionable decision recently. This company decided that they're going to spend about $1 billion off their balance sheets to do a stock buyback. I don't think it was the most prudent use of cash. Not right now, okay? Not right now. And that was actually the main reason that stock price went up so much going into those earnings the previous few months, because everybody was like, looking and they're like, why is RH stock pumping so much? The company bought back like $1 billion worth of stock. It was insane. So, I think they made a pretty poor decision for that, and I think a lot of people are unhappy with it, and I think they're paying the price now. And now that stock's under $300 a share. And I don't know, man. All it would take is a little weakness in the market. I'm talking like 5%, 7% down to the S&P 500, and RH would hit 52-week lows. 5 to 7% the S&P 500, RH would be at 52-week lows. I feel like Gary Friedman's got to learn a little lesson here, man. I think he did a very bad decision, okay? He went from all of a sudden, he was very bearish on everything, to all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to buy back all this stock. Like, come on, Gary. Like, I feel like he made a very rash decision, okay? Rocket stock continues to just flounder. I mean, until refinancing in mortgages pick up, Rocket's just going to continue to be in a tough place. I think it could potentially be an interesting play in 24 at some point in time. I think there's likely at some point in time interest rates will break, the housing market will come back in terms of actual activity of people moving. But I think the earliest you can probably play Rocket is maybe 2024, and then hoping that things start to heat up in 2025 and moving forward. But that one just continues to be in a tough place when it comes to that, right? Now, in terms of good stocks in the housing market, KB Home had a decent day, Lennar had a decent day. Not too much happening in relation to that, right? I saw Unity Software was down huge today, almost 8% move. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with Unity, and down almost 12% in the past 5 days. Always a famous Cathie Wood stock. There's a lot of retail investors like to own as well. But it's a weird situation. So Unity announced they were going to change some of their pricing and whatnot, and how that was all done. Now they're trying to go back on that. I don't know. That just seems like a horrible move. Like, you got to stick with your guns, okay? If you're going to change pricing strategy, stick with it. Because people are already mad. You change your stance. I don't know. I don't think that's a good look as a business. Like, you gotta stick with it. You gotta stick to your guns, or never make the move in the first place. You gotta always figure there's gonna be pushback. Like, if you're gonna go up in price, like, that's running a business. Like, you think everybody's gonna be happy about that? No. We're in a high inflationary environment. If you can't go up on your customers or change pricing plans right now in a high inflationary environment, how are you going to do it in any other environment? Like, this is you have the best reasons in the world to go up right now if you're a company, or to change pricing strategies. I mean, oh my gosh, if you can't do it right now, when are you going to do it? So I think Wall Street looks at this and they're like, what, you guys are backing down in this situation? Like, so are we never going to go up on our customers again? Or is pricing never change? It's a bad look. I mean, best way I could put it is, Apple just went up $200 on their newest iPhone, right? It'd be like Apple all of a sudden reverting course and being like, people are pushing back on our $200 price upgrade, so we need to take that off. Like, that's just crazy, right? Now, there's a little heat map of the market in general. Kind of a mixed bag day out there. Mixed bag day is the best way I could describe it. The market's still looking for direction, and we haven't found that direction yet, so just mixed bag. But really, the only two stocks making big outsized moves was really Apple and Tesla in relation to today for the most part, right? A few things to keep in mind here, folks. Buy the dip, never trip on great companies. I think Salesforce, a great example of that last year. That stock got traded down in such a massive way, and just a great example of a great profitable company you could buy the dip on, and just have been looking very, very good. GVD 1, 2, 3, keep that in mind. Growth, value, dividends. Number 3, dividends are out of favor right now in the market. It won't be like that forever. And number 4, expand your knowledge, expand your network, folks. Get around folks that are looking to up their portfolios, up their knowledge, and continue to take your game up to the next level. So if you want to expand your network and expand your knowledge, apply to join my private group. That will be the pin pinned comment down there. You fill out an application and we can get you on in there with us. We have 500 plus 6-figure members, and we have probably 100 plus 7-figure members in there. So appreciate y'all joining me as always. Much love and have a great day.